Hi, welcome to Soul Food Ministries and Outreach. I'm Henriette Hobson. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to No More Jim Crow Ministry. Well, today is a beautiful day and it's sunny, it's warm, might be a little warmer than I want it to be, going to be anyway. It's going to be like in the uh, lower 90s, but it's gorgeous out. The sun is shining, the grass is green, and it is beautiful. Today is Wednesday, and it is May the 31st, 2023. Now, today I'm going to talk about something a little patriotic, and it's not negative at all. Just hear me out. Actually, it may help some of you that felt like I felt, and I still do feel the same, but I did learn and get a little bit more insight on this particular situation. Now, the Bible speaks of, we're here to glorify God, lift Him up, and do what it is that He has called and asked me to do, which is minister to Black America, as well as along with my ministry as a minister to every human being on the planet. That I've even prayed for a few dogs. So, whatever it is that people love their pets. I am not necessarily a dog person. I don't have my pets are the deer that come through here, and the frogs and the turtles and the foxes and all that come through my yard on my property. But so people have had sick pets and what have you, and even though that's not my thing per se, I have laid hands on them and prayed for them to be healed. And someone even brought their pet to, it's like family to some folks. Some people take it too far. To a healing service. It was a healing service, and they brought their dog. I forget what was wrong, but anyway, the Memorial Day was this past Monday, okay, and we're celebrating the veterans and our military, past and present. And the Bible speaking of the Bible, because when we speak of the Bible, we're speaking of Jesus, what He is in the Bible. It's not everything in the Bible that we're supposed to say and do, but we're supposed to learn of Him. Everything is building from the very beginning and all the way to the end. It is building up and getting to Him and about Him. And it was even before He was born in a human flesh for us. So the Bible speaks of not making over the dead like people do. They, of course, leave something to mankind. They're gonna take it too far. So it is a humongous. First of all, thank you for the morticians and people that handle that part of life for us, because there was a time that people look down on a lot of different professions and what have you, this and that, because it's maybe not for them. But don't, because the very thing that you are not familiar with or feel like is something you would like to do or would do, someone else is built that way to do it. And thank God for someone to be able to do what we can't or won't would or don't want to do. That can be in any profession. There are people that don't want to be any and every career choice that someone else makes. There's someone that thinks it's ridiculous or hates it or just doesn't feel qualified or whatever the situation. So we should not look down on people. I remember we have a septic tank, and so the man that does the cleaning of the septic tank, he came to check it out or what have you, and he was kind of uh, saying, off and on throughout the visit, I should have got an education and I wouldn't be doing this or something to that effect. And it's like, listen, we appreciate you. We appreciate the fact that you can do that we can't do or don't want to do. You are good at, this is a professional job. You have to know what you're doing when you go down. It's not just a messy, dirty, stinky job, and a lot of jobs are. Even just being a parent is a messy, stinky job. But, this man, he almost lost his life actually because he got stuck head first going down into one of these, they're like big concrete barrels, containers that are down there. And he got stuck and nobody knew he was down there. And I forget how long he said, it was hours that he was stuck down there. And he almost lost his life. Now, and I told him before I even knew that part, it was like, sir, my husband and I both, we appreciate you. That, you, first of all, you get paid to do this just like anyone else. And thank you. We appreciate it. And we appreciate you. So, getting to what I was getting to, going off on the rabbit trail, we're morticians. Now, they do, what they do, wow, there's so many positives about what they do. People are hurting. They just lost a loved one or friend or whatever. And a friend could be a loved one, because you love them. And, just the whole devastation of it all, someone that is kind and compassionate and can handle all the ins and outs of the remains. There was a time, especially with, Black people, and even before there was, quote, a career, a profession of, we handled our own right there in the house. Someone had to wash the body and prepare the body and lay it out and all that. I can remember my grandmother, and great grandmother speaking of how, they stretched them out across ironing boards, and put them, because, it wasn't like, especially slaves or ex-slaves, what have you, even up and through Jim Crow, had the money for, lumber or whatever to, and to be building, slabs or whatever. You use what you had. So thank you for that. We need to, I was not planning on going through all this, but here we go. So, appreciate. Now, I know people are saying, yeah, but a lot of those morticians, they take advantage of you and what have you. Well, you know what? We need to be in control of ourselves. That's true, and shame on the ones that do it. But the gentleman family, the family that was handling our family when I was a girl and all the way up to my adult life, those particular two people are passed on now, but they were some of the kindest, most compassionate, understanding people. Of course, there's money to be made in the industry, but I don't remember them over pushing any of us. It was always, so here's this, can you afford this? This is what you want to do. You can do this, this, or that. And I wasn't in on a whole bunch of it, but we had quite a few deaths growing up because there was a lot of, we tend to have longevity in our family. And, all those people have passed on. Unfortunately, a couple of young ones as well. But even though they needed to make money off of what they do, like any business has sort of a sales department. I don't remember them being sleazy. It just wasn't that take advantage, try to abuse, and I love and appreciate that and thankful to God for them. Now, after saying all that, yes, we do we tend to, especially in the Black culture, cremation and what have you was not a part of what we normally would have done. I would joke about, it had to be at least a 3 day long event, two good long days or nothing else. So, and which accumulates money and all kinds of things. And so I'm really glad that God really brought me out of that. He speaks of not making a big deal about those dead remains. It was a time that it was made over in the particular culture of the Hebrew culture, and actually probably stem back from the Egyptian. It was an art how they handled, doing the whole thing. So I can remember just it was the Bible just spoke of when he told one gentleman, he said, "Come and follow me," and the gentleman the gentleman said, "Well, let me go and bury my father first." And he said, "Let the dead bury the dead. You come and follow me." Now, that may sound harsh, but Jesus would always, when he said something, he was making a point and he was trying to teach us something. He was trying to break off those bondages that we had from just mankind with how, it's overkill with, the embalming process and the wrapping, and you got a ceremony for this, and you hire the wailers and the mourners, it became more of a, well, people would take advantage, and then if you didn't have anyone, you felt bad, and this, that, all that. And so he made it clear, even in other situations where, he talked about Lazarus, not the one that not Mary and Martha's brother, but this other Lazarus that he gave the example, a parable or testimony, true story of and it's just as well as a true story, because anything Jesus says is real. And so he says, Lazarus was a poor man, and he was, begging for food or whatever at this rich family's table, and they were, no one was kind to him, and he died, but he believed in the Father. It was before Jesus came, and he went on and he rested with this place that was set up then in Abraham's bosom. It was the safety place, kind of what was called purgatory. Wasn't called purgatory then, but just an example of, to give you as kind of a holding place for waiting for Jesus to come to deliver them out of the bondage. So the rich man died, but he went to hell. And he was like, would you please, send someone to cool Abraham, to cool my tongue, or someone to cool my to cool this torment and fire that I'm in. I didn't read it this morning. I wasn't planning on talking about it. He said, so, and he asked if someone from the dead could come and tell his sons, don't come to this place. Don't be like me and ignore God and not honor him and treat people bad and all the things that they did, ignored the poor, threw crumbs to them like the dogs. They down there eating with the dogs, And he was saying, tell them, don't come here. And he said, nope. He said, nobody's coming from the dead to tell you anything. He said, they will have to listen to the living that's telling them, just like you should have. Basically, this is, I paraphrase it all, but there's, And so, people are calling the dead up and all that, thinking that they're talking to their real relatives, but they're not. They're talking to a demonic force, being that is pretending to be their relative or whatever. And the voice and the appearance of that relative was here on the earth, and so it's very accessible to be used. That's deeper than I can't go no deeper than that. I'll never get to what I'm going to. But it's demonic. Just let me tell you. Jesus was telling them, once the dead is dead, they're dead. Leave it. You cannot be after you haven't called them back. Now he called the dead back, but he means not to be going out there calling up your family members and spirits to come and talk to you and live with you. All this stuff people are doing. Now, there are people that say that they're Christians that are going off into this, and it's like no. So anyway, now I know there's some other places in the Bible where when Jesus was here, there was some specific cases where the dead came back, but there was specifically reasons that this had to take place in order for salvation and all of what Jesus was here to finish off and execute and make available to us. All that had to happen. He even brought the dead back with him when he came out of the grave. Those that had gone and lived in Abraham's bosom, he preached the gospel to the lost down there. And those that decided to come, they got a chance to come back and go to heaven with him, not to live on this earth. Okay? They passed on through. They did come and they did walk the earth for a few days, showing that Jesus was real and what was prophesied about him was actually so. But it was not for us to, no. We don't need them to minister to us. We don't need, all this that people are trying to make out of this. What they're doing is just, excuse me, it's me. Wow. Is to walk in some dangerous territories. I didn't really sleep throughout the night last night, so it kind of caught up with me for a minute. So, plus I worked pretty hard in the yard yesterday, in the gardens. Anyway, so pretty much it's like the dead stay dead. Don't be playing those games with calling the dead back in spirit form. If you can't call them up and they enter into their bodies and walk the earth and live again, which that's what Jesus, he did do that. If you can't do that, forget it. It's over after that. You trying to call their spirit up. You're not dealing with them. You're dealing with a demon that is going to turn on you eventually. Anyway, that brings me to the point about just how I felt about, the dead going to cemeteries and all of that. Well, some people, they're hanging on to the past, which we should not do. Now, there's memories, of course, of people. We're supposed to keep them alive in us, the love and the memories that we shared that were good. If you want to do that, that's, But, people have foundations and different things that honor a person that did good things. It's just don't take it to that other level of, So that's one of the reasons, the reason that I was so, adamant about not going to visit my relatives' graves and so forth and so on, because once they're dead, they're dead. I can't hug them. I can't, we can't fellowship together anymore. Why would I be hanging on to if once Jesus said, "Let the dead, bury the dead," and stop all this what's going on, using all your savings, people using all their savings to try to bury somebody in fashion, wasting money. All of it's going to deteriorate and be nothing. And if you did not, especially, especially, I don't planning on talking about the dead today, especially if you didn't do anything for them when they were here anyway. You know, people want to make this, big, what have you. And anyway, what I'm trying to get to is turning into something else. Is Memorial Day just passed, and I never went outside of going to bury my father. I never went back. I never went back, and excuse me. I learned a lot of things about his heroic performance in the military. Heroism is what I was looking for. And, was very proud of it, but, I wasn't going to get into that other thing. So one day, not this Memorial Day, but last year, the Holy Spirit told me to go to the military cemetery here where he's buried. And I thought, really? I've gone to it. My kids grew up. I made them, T-shirts. Everybody had a T-shirt. All me, my husband, children. My husband, the children, and I had T-shirts that I made with, the paint stuff and sparkly and whatever. And we went to memorial services in our park and what have you that they had. And I wanted to teach them all about, whatever, So it wasn't that you don't give honor, because without God and without, first of all, giving honor to God, always, but the military men and women, we would not be living in this free country that we live in today without a dictator. And there are people that have tried to turn it into that. And so thank God for our military that served and honorably, and even people that got dishonorable discharges that really should not have. Let me tell you something. Just because they call them deserters and whatever, that's reason why you got PTSD and you have people that are stressed out, just completely, checked out because of what they have had to suffer there. And some people just think, I can't take this anymore. Or whatever their reasoning was. I know there has to be a system, there has to be rules and all that. But you kind of have to be, give some grace in there too, because it was no picnic at all. And they were not treated properly when they got back by our government and the people that, unbelievable. Anyway, so the Lord told me to go to visit my father's burial site. I had never seen it before because, of course, a new grave, you can't put a tombstone on it or anything like that. And they provide the tombstone. You don't have to pay for anything. They honor you with that, and a free plot for the spouse. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm not going to talk about that to the next one. I'm going to make another one right behind this so that I can fully tell the story on it. But I will say that, I did not do funeral services as normal with my mom. That was the first person that I was responsible for on my own. I saw the craziness that went on throughout the years, and the money wasn't there, and she did not want an open coffin anyway. It was just a traumatic situation. So I say, do what it is. Her remains were cremated, and she's not sitting here in the house with us or anything like that. What do I want with some ashes? You know what I'm saying? Really, some people, oh, that's so cold. No, it's not. I can't hug her. I can't see her and minister, to her love. What is ashes going to do for me? No. And so, don't go out. No, I'm not going to say it like that. My suggestion is not to go out and spend life savings or make a loan and all this to have this big elaborate funeral and what have you. You got to pay for a facility and the cars and celebrate them. This is what my plan was. Celebrate and have a big barbecue. Set off some balloons and honor, your family member. Have a gathering, at whatever works for you. A picnic outside. You can rent a pavilion for free, and you can go out there and you can invite anybody that wants to come. You may not want this thing at your house because you don't know particularly who all you want in your house, and everybody's not trustworthy to be in your house. And celebrate them. Pull out the old books and pictures, and go down memory lane or whatever it is that you choose to do. But don't go into going broke trying to do something so elaborate and fancy. For what? For really just so that they can say, "Ooh, ooh, did you see that dress she had on in that coffin? Did you see that suit? Did you see that coffin? Ooh." I mean, all that stuff, the bling bling and all the stuff is fun, fancy and pretty, but to what end, really? Then you got to feed everybody. I mean, really, and celebrate them by being the good person that either they were and be better, or they were not a good person. Be determined to be a better person than they were, and to mend and heal all that was broken because of them, and do a better job at life. Well, I'm going to cut it off. We're going to come back and we'll talk about my experience at the Veteran Memorial visit to my father's resting place. See you next time.